welcome back. As promised earlier in the program, we have Rwandan journalist Magnus Mazimpaka to discuss the Rwandan Genocide Memorial as the genocide that killed hundreds of thousands of people. Hello, Magnus, and thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
You're welcome. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So this genocide is a very dark chapter in Rwanda's history. What's the mood like in the country?
Well, do you mind if I make some corrections before we go on?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yes, the first correction is that it is not the Rwandan genocide. It's the genocide against the Tutsi. It's a particular group of people that were targeted. So when you call it the Rwandan genocide, that's the wrong information. The second correction is there's been a documentation of how many people were killed, at least more than 1 million. It's not 800. So I just wanted to make those two corrections first.
Thank you, Magnus.
If I move, the situation right now is on a general basis, on a global picture. Rwanda is now a calm, peaceful, and stable country, and stability is seen in three dimensions. You're talking about political stability, economic stability, and social stability. The only thing that we could say is that we still, of course, have traumatic traces of many survivors who are still haunted by the loss of their loved ones. But at the same time, a serious problem, which is the last stage of the genocide, denial. We have a huge campaign of perpetrators and people who support the genocide around the world, not just who are trying to deny the fact that this genocide happened. And what they do is sometimes not only deny that the genocide happened, but they tend to twist the storyline, claiming that it was a war and that there were two groups of people who were fighting each other. And that is very wrong. And usually, out of the 8 steps of the genocide, that is the last step, and that's where we are now.
Okay. Was there any specific theme to this year's event?
Yes, there were many things. We had possibly the largest number of foreign dignitaries coming to pay tribute and their respect to the survivors and the victims of the genocide from around the world, particularly Europe, a region that traditionally did not actually understand the role they played and how terrific the genocide was. So it was quite well. And then also parts of West Africa. We had so many presidents and dignitaries coming from West Africa. And the other most important part is that the genocide commemoration took place in a very special building, that is the Dome, the Kigali Convention Center, which before the genocide and during the genocide, this place used to be a small village just in the suburbs of the city where there's lots of killings. So this monumental building actually highlighted the progress with which the country has gone through.
Okay, so I know a lot of countries have acknowledged that there was a genocide, and I know that the country is mourning for 100 days. In this time, what should we expect to happen?
Well, like I said earlier, the biggest challenge we are facing now is the memory. People who are trying hard to erase the memory of the genocide against the Tutsi, and that is a very disturbing situation because people who are involved are from every part of the world. You're talking about academicians, you're talking about some politicians, and of course traces of perpetrators who are hiding in some countries around the world, and some cases that have not been tried. That is the toughest challenge we are facing now as a country. But the most interesting part is that, like they say, friends of Rwanda and Rwandans themselves, we are trying our best to fight the denial phase of the genocide. So I think we will win over this because we've seen the worst, and this is not the worst that we've seen.
Many friends at the memorial yesterday. What was the message that they had for Rwanda?
Well, there were three things. One is that the president, when the president was addressing the audience, he said the country has been tried and has been talked by so many people, including perpetrators and enemies of the state. But he said with all the mess they're trying to put Rwanda into, they should be careful because Rwanda will really mess with them big time. And this was a serious warning the president was sending that the country will not sit back, Rwandans will not sit back and see people are trying to destabilize the country or try to push the agenda against the stability that we have as a country. The progress is so, it's priceless for us to allow anyone around the world to mess up with us. As a country, we are behind him. Not just because he's a president, but because he's a Rwandan, and every Rwandan shares the same kind of line of thinking. The second part is that we've seen a very big number of people around the world who understand now that a genocide is a specific crime against a specific group of people. It's not collective. And that is a message that needs to be sent around the world, be it Nigeria, be it Ghana, be it anywhere. A particular group of people can be targeted and disguised as a group, as a collective, as a corrective crime, and that is also another message that was sent. The last part of the message that was sent was that, despite all the odds, the survivors have tried their best to make it. They are happy; they can live happily now. And when you look at the progress and the kind of stories being told by survivors, I think they've been asked a lot, like the president was saying. You can't give anything to the survivors because there's nothing that can be paid to recover the losses of their families, their loved ones.
Rwandan journalist Magnus Mazimpaka, thank you for speaking to us on Network Africa. Well, finally, on the program, if you like playing pool, then you might want to listen in. A South African pool champion is trying to make popular the sport amongst young people in the country. Despite its growing popularity, pool is still an overlooked sport in South Africa, where lack of sponsorship is the greatest challenge the players face.
A young and gifted pool player from Cape Town, South Africa, has taken the national and global pool scene by storm and is hoping to popularize the sport. 31-year-old Joy Willenberg started playing pool with her brother in 2007 and later took part in various local competitions. She has gone on to play in local and international competitions and reached the finals at the 2018 Black Ball International World Championships in the UK.
I realized that that moment when you play against someone, or you play just that friendly match and you just actually enjoy the game, that's what that keeps you there. It's that passion that you have for the game that you can't explain. People will try and get you away from the table, but it's like your happy place.
The game is played between two players. One player breaks the park and players take it in turns to pocket a ball. Once the ball is pocketed legally, that group of balls, colored or striped, are then designated to that player, with the other half becoming the balls for his opponent. Willenberg says she's happy to see the growing interest for pool back at home, but also across the continent, where tournaments such as the All Africa Championship are helping popularize the sport.
It's actually amazing to see how big the sport is in the different African countries, because you don't realize, in the passion for the sport, I mean, they clap after every shot that you popped. It was very nice to see. And they also become, I mean, even you become sort of, they actually look up to the South African players. They treat you like you a superstar.
When she's not competing internationally, Willenberg can be found playing at the local pool hall with other pool enthusiasts.
Well, that's it on the program today. Thanks for watching. I'm Teniola Shobowale. Bye for now.